What is up, everyone? I am coming to over 1,000 subscribers on our page right now, and we are so excited that we finally hit this goal. 1,000 of you who want to follow our journey and putting up with our shenanigans. So I know I say this all the time, you guys, but thank you so much for being a part of this. Without you guys on our page doesn't matter. So we're so stoked to have you here, and we're super excited for the future. Today we are taking on the long-awaited video of Miss Scout Torres taking on the airport life. Since our adventures on the plane, I've been getting a ton of questions. So today I want to come to you guys with my honest opinion on how our journey went. I was super nervous to do this with Scout, and I'm hoping that giving you guys a little information and kind of a look into what it looks like to do this might ease a little bit of that nervousness for others. So first things first, every airline is different, every airport is different, and every dog is different. So this is our experience with Alaska Airlines and Scout. Scout took a total of 4 flights. We went to San Antonio, Texas, Seattle, Washington, and Medford, Oregon. I think that's it. I also need to give a huge shout out to someone I have met through my Instagram, the Baseball Gypsy, and her name is Jackie Butler. She was a huge blessing in all of this. Before I flew with Scout, she reached out to me. She offered me a bunch of tips and tricks, and it helped immensely, you guys. So I'm hoping that this does the same for you. So the first thing I want to go over is how Scout can fly in the cabin with me. Scout is a registered emotional support animal. This is a type of service animal. If you go to alaskaairlines.com, there is an emotional support animal section that shows what those animals are allowed to do and what you need to provide for them to be able to go on the plane. So yes, emotional support animals can go in the cabin with their owners. So how to make your dog an emotional support animal? So there are some things with Scout being an emotional support animal that Nick and I have decided to keep private. We've gotten a lot of really odd opinions about whether this is real or this is fake, and you know, it is what it is. We have a doctor's note saying that Scout is a legal emotional support animal, and with that we have spent a lot of time and a lot of money making sure that she is a well-behaved animal that we can take into public and know that she will behave accordingly. So because this was Scout's first time flying, and there's really no way to train your dog to do this other than going and doing it, I was having nightmares about, well, what if her ears are hurting her and we go up in the sky and we have some sort of like fiasco? So in her best interest and to ease my nerves, I decided to make a vet appointment for her to get her ears checked out as well as everything else, just to make sure we were safe. I'm really glad we had this appointment because Jackie did tell us that it would be in our best interest to get something called a clear bill of health. So we went to the vet, it was $30, and I was just not aware that this is something that you have to do if you're going to different states. When we did check in with Alaska, they didn't ask for it. I don't know if they necessarily needed it, but I'm glad that we had it. I felt like the more documentation, the better. When you go to the vet, they're gonna check your dog out and they're gonna give you something that looks like this. It basically says that your dog is cleared to travel. They've had all their vaccines, they haven't bitten anyone, they haven't been exposed to rabies, it shows how old they are, how much they weigh, so just general information, and then it's signed by your vet. So because I was starting to accumulate so much paperwork for Scout when we traveled, I did get a folder just to keep everything in it. The other thing I did was I got her doctor's note laminated. We've been doing so much traveling that things were starting to bend and not look so good, and obviously that's stuff that I want to stay in good condition. So I got this little folder, I kept everything in it. I also have her detailed medical history that we've gotten from the vet throughout with every visit. She was boarded in Seattle, Washington for a few days, so I just wanted to make sure I had everything I needed just because we weren't going to be home at all for the few weeks. Another touchy subject that I do want to bring up and be honest with you guys about is whether or not I gave Scout any sort of medication when we traveled. The answer is yes. When I originally went to the vet, I told them I did not want her on any sort of medication. I know Scout, I know she's a good dog, I know what she's capable of. I'm really glad I brought this up to the vet because they did a very good job explaining to me that it doesn't matter how great your dog is, there's some situations that are overwhelming. Scout is 10 months old, she's still considered a puppy, so what they recommended to me was anxiety medication. They gave me a few pills and we halved them. So they said an hour before the flight, give her a half of pill. So this isn't a large dose, but it would be enough to just decrease some of that anxiety if she had it. Some of the things they mentioned to me was the vibration of the plane, the overwhelming amount of people, the hustle and the bustle, and yes, you guys, dogs do feel the altitude change like humans. The reason I was okay with an anxiety medication over something like a sleeping pill is because the sleeping pill will bring some sort of an unconsciousness to your animal. They said that some effects of a sleeping pill would be uncontrollable drooling, sometimes droopy eyes, and sometimes just like, hard to get your dog up and moving. So the anxiety medication wouldn't alter her state of mind, but it would help if there was any extra stress with everything going on in this new situation that she hadn't experienced before. So this ties in with the food and water and when to cut off food and water when you're going on a flight. So I didn't want to give Scout the pill on an empty stomach. So I did feed her and give her water in the morning. Our first flight wasn't until later in the afternoon. If it was earlier, I would recommend getting up earlier. I think it really helped that Scout had something in her system prior to the flight. So that's what we did. 3 hours prior, we cut her off of food and water. Courtney Renfro is a fellow baseball wife, and she gave me a good tip about ice cubes. So if you feel like your dog needs a little something in their system, give them ice cubes. That way they're not consuming a bunch of water and needing to potty on the flight, but they are able to get their body temperature down. Something I also recommend is the fold-up bowl. I recommend bringing that when you travel so you have something to put the ice in or put water in while you're at the airport. I also recommend bringing food. We unfortunately ran into, which is super common these days, a 2-hour delay with one of our flights. So I was in a pinch of, well, do I give her more food or do I, wait until after the flight? That's gonna be up to you guys, but I do recommend having something there to at least have the option of being able to feed them if you get stuck somewhere or, a flight delayed, a flight canceled, whatever. So actually being at the airport, I wanted free hands. So I did carry a backpack and I checked the bag that I had, the luggage bag that I had. So there are a few things that I recommend that I kept in my backpack that I think that you guys should consider bringing for your dog. The first thing is new treats and new chew toys. This will be exciting for them and will help keep them occupied if they start to, get a little anxious or get a little restless on the flights. You can give them a new chew toy. I also gave her treats on the way up and on the way down just because I was scared that it would affect her ears with the altitude. So I'm not sure if that helped, but I just figured that the chewing motion of her jaw would help her ears. So I just fed her treats up and down. If you guys have been following our journey since spring training, you will know that Bill, who works for the Padres, his wife made Scout this great pillow, and it was really easy to roll up and take with us when we traveled. She's been sleeping on this for months, so I figured it was something that when I had it with us, she could associate it was hers. She knows that she sleeps on this, and I was so proud of her. I laid it down on my feet and she knew right away that that's where she was supposed to lay. So, if your dog has kind of like a comfort blankie or a pillow, something like that, I do recommend bringing it because I do think that it helped her feel a little more like she knew what she was doing. Another thing I brought was a Ziploc baggie with some paper towels. I kept picturing, having an accident or spilling something and having to go through the airport and try to find something to clean it up with. So I brought these just in case, and you guys, I am glad I did. When we got off the plane from Seattle, the animal relief station was a decade away. So we tried really hard to get there, but Scout pooped in the airport. So, I just want to be honest with you guys because, that's real life. Like, we couldn't make it. She couldn't make it. So she tried really hard. Even when I cut her off 3 hours before, she still had some stuff in her system. So luckily I had potty bags, I had these, and I also have disinfecting wipes that I take everywhere with me. So I was able to clean it up really fast, and I'm so grateful the people that were around were like super chill about it and nice. So sometimes it happens. So there you go. Another thing that I brought, and it definitely doesn't look as aesthetically pleasing now, but I brought a little Ziploc baggie with peanut butter. So when I give Scout any pills, I do get a little clump of peanut butter and pop it in her mouth. So if I did need to give her the other half of her anxiety medication for some reason, I did want to make sure I had something that I could, give to her with the pill so she would take it. So that's why I brought a Ziploc bag full of peanut butter. So because I have never done this before, I didn't even know what to do. Like, what do you do when you first get to the airport and you have an animal? And Jackie really helped me with this too. So you guys, you just check in like normal. You go to wherever your airline is, and they have all those desks, and that's where you would like check your bag. That's where you go. So they're gonna check you in like normal. They're gonna ask for your ID. They're gonna ask if you're checking a bag. I did check one bag, and then they're gonna ask for Scout's information. And that's when I pulled out my handy dandy folder, which was so convenient to just hand to them with all of Scout's information. They're gonna go through it. They're gonna look at stuff. I think they entered some stuff into the computer, and then they give you your tickets and you're good to go. So going through security is basically the same as normal too. You stand in line, you wait for that guy to check your ticket and stuff, and then you go, you put your stuff in the bins. So we went through the walking metal detector, and they did it a few different ways in the airports. The first time they asked if they could physically walk Scout through. I said, of course. So she walked through with her leash and everything, and then I walked through. The second time we did it, they asked me to walk her through. So just to give you an idea of, you know, different airports are different. So the other thing that she did walk through with, and she did wear the entire time, was her emotional support animal vest. And I did order this online. When I went to the doctor and got my doctor's note, they didn't have emotional support animal vests for your dogs to hand you with your note. I wanted Scout to be able to wear this because I wanted people to know what she was. She wasn't just a pet that was on board. People also are really good these days with knowing that when an animal is wearing some type of service vest, it usually means you can't touch them. I did get a little more lenient with that as we went on, but I wanted Scout to be focused and in the zone and know that this wasn't playtime. So you get through security, everything's going great. This is when I go to the actual gate agent. There's a few reasons for this. First is Scout is not a small puppy, and I do want them to see that she's a larger dog so they can plan accordingly when they're placing people. We had the most amazing employees with Alaska. We actually had a full seat next to us for 3 of the 4 flights, so that was amazing. The other reason is because there was a few gate agents that wanted to recheck her paperwork. You just have to roll with the punches with stuff like that, but I wanted to make sure if they wanted to do it, we did it early, so that way we weren't scrambling to get on the plane. Another thing that I do recommend you guys is with Alaska, they have a thing called premium seats. So there's first class, there's premium, and then there's the coach seating. I do not think Scout could fit in the coach seating. So, you know, keep that in mind. She's almost 45 pounds, and it would have been really uncomfortable and tight. So, you know, she's not sitting on my lap. She is sitting on the floor. So we went with the premium seats, and they're great because they're only like another $35, whereas first class is hundreds of extra dollars. So you do get free beverages and you do get some extra snacks, which, you know, mama enjoyed too, but the extra space is absolutely amazing if you're traveling with an animal. So keep that in mind when you're booking your flight. So once I feel comfortable with the gate agent in our seat, we go to this fabulous thing called the pet relief area. So a lot of people don't know about these, which is why I want to show you guys. San Antonio had the best one by far. So like I said, you guys, Scout did have one accident in the Seattle airport. So if you can map out where the pet relief area is compared to your gate, that's gonna help you gauge, you know, whether to feed them and give them water at what times, etc. So we actually spent more time at the animal relief stations than we did the actual gate, just because it's a little bit set away from the hustle and the bustle, and it really gave her an opportunity to kind of settle in and do whatever business she needed to do. But I do recommend getting to your gate early because I think it's important to take advantage of the priority boarding. So this is when they invite people with children or, you know, people that need extra time to board. And I was really thankful for that because I could go get on the plane, get Scout situated, get her pillow on the ground, get my stuff stored, get her treats out, all of that before anybody came on board. So the actual flights, Scout did amazing. I'm so proud of her, but I do want to tell you guys that there was one flight that she struggled. It was the flight that was delayed, so we were thrown off of our routine with our exercise and our food and our water, and I think the anxiety pill wore off too in the midst of all that. So I can't say exactly what happened, but she was uncomfortable and didn't want to be on that flight. Also, the plane was extremely hot and I felt horrible for her because I didn't really have anything to cool her down other than water and ice. even with that, she is such a well-behaved dog. She just wanted to be closer to me. I think she was just confused about the situation and, you know, was trying to move around because she was so hot. So, you know, that's just one of those things. All the other flights, she slept through the whole thing. She did amazing. And it was actually the longer flights that she did better. So I was really thankful that that one flight that she was uncomfortable was just an hour to Medford. And going off that, you guys, I do want to bring something up that shocked me a little bit, and that's that there are going to be some mean people. I grew up in a family where, you know, animals were accepted and we love animals, but there's people that don't feel like that. The situation I'm specifically speaking of was we were going from Seattle to San Antonio. We had the premium seats. The gentleman to my left really did not like the fact that Scout was there. You know, I prayed to have grace in this situation, even though all I wanted to do was get defensive and, you know, stick up for my dog and stick up for all the work that we've put into the training with her, because I knew she would do great, but he wasn't giving us a chance. So Scout did great. She slept the entire time and he was apologetic by the end of the flight. But you guys, I encourage you to have patience with these people, because usually these are the people that have had a bad experience or they're just uneducated on service dogs in general. So if you want people to be patient with you, you have to be patient with them. And I was really glad that Scout and I got an opportunity to maybe change his mind a little bit for the next person that he encounters, if that happens. So if you guys haven't subscribed to this page already, please do it. We are so stoked that our channel hit 1,000, and we are so excited that we get the opportunity to continue to see our page grow. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you think that this would help somebody, please share it. We love seeing our stuff shared. It is crazy to say that we are about a month away from season ending, but we have some really exciting stuff coming your way. So subscribe, stay tuned. We love you guys.